Of all the records of Prince Andrew's scandals, one of the most relevant is that photo with Virginia Giuffre at Ghislaine Maxwell's house. This video is a summary of the full analysis I did live, and I will walk you through the exact same steps I follow every time I'm analyzing a picture, so you can apply them when extracting the details of any photograph. Welcome back, my body language buddies. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy, and it will be great if you join us by just liking this video, subscribing, and hitting that bell. Let's get down to it. You might think that analyzing a photo is relatively easy compared to a video, but in fact it's more like a different category. And there are so many variables that it could be a bit overwhelming at first, so I strongly recommend to start with a question that might sound a bit odd or counterintuitive at first. Who is the person behind the camera? Yeah, the first thing you have to think about is not body language or proximity or facial expressions, none of that. The first thing is who took the picture. And the reason why is that this is a very precise question that triggers the system of the whole analysis. In this case, we can make a very good guess that the picture was taken by Jeffrey Epstein himself. In fact, most of the images that you can find online are cropped versions of the original, where you can see Epstein's finger on the right. And why is the photographer so important? Because the next step is the scaffold where you are going to put all the body language clues. And that scaffold or structure is the question, how did all these people get to this place and time? Any picture is just a snapshot of time and space. There are events that happened before it was taken and events after that. At first you should focus on the previous steps that led to that point. Well, it seems at first sight that none of them were forced to be there. With that first impression, without detailing body language or facial expressions, it seems that all of them were okay with being at Maxwell's house. Now, this is the point where you make a full stop and try to let your intuition kick in. Just remember that intuition works in a non-rational way. The moment that you try to rationalize it is the moment that you begin to lose that power. But that first hunch is important. After you give yourself a few seconds to just stare at the people in the picture, then comes the fun part, analyzing body language. But this analysis has a golden rule, and is that you have to go from the general to the specific. The very first step is to see, in your mind, just the general perimeter of their bodies. Like you're cutting with the scissors on paper just their silhouette. Those extremely basic shapes will give you an idea of two things. First, how are the body weights distributed over the frame, which means who's leaning towards whom, and second, most important, is the proximity between the actual bodies. If you have any image processing software, I suggest you color every person in the picture, trying to add contrast between the adjacent ones. In this case, and to help you see the details of their body language, I've colored the Duke of York blue and Virginia orange. We can see that there is close proximity between the bodies, and this kind of distance is called intimate distance for obvious reasons. They're less than 45 centimeters or 18 inches apart. Both bodies are almost perfectly fitted one against the other, and the line of Virginia's body fits Prince Andrew's line to a T, so that further confirms that they felt comfortable together. You can also see that Virginia has a leaning posture towards him, so in one way or another, at that exact point in time, she felt at ease near him. Also, notice that Maxwell is towards the back room, leaning on the door frame, and we can say that she's trying to step back from the photo that was being taken. So that attitude tells you that the main protagonists of the photo are the Duke of York and Virginia. But then, why didn't just take the time to take a picture with just the two of them? And that's when you begin to form a hypothesis of what is the probable story of this exact moment. There are at least 3 signals that this photo was taken really spontaneously, maybe to not give them much time to react. First, the fact that Epstein's thumb or finger entered the frame is relevant, because most cameras, even disposable ones, have their lens in the middle of the camera body, so it's not that easy to get your fingers inside the frame. That could be a signal that he didn't take too long to shot properly, that he just took out the camera, said smile, and pushed the button. Another hint is that the original, uncropped photo, the frame is slightly slanted. That is something that almost everyone does automatically, that you're going to take a picture and unconsciously you level the camera, especially if there are so many points of reference like the walls, the ceiling, and the door frame. Maybe Epstein was shooting without using the viewfinder. But the strongest signal that this photo was taken really quick is that when you zoom in Virginia's left hand, you notice that it is not resting on her hip. I mean, her posture and her arm makes you think that her hand is resting there, but it's not. That's another signal of the photo being taken really quick, before she was ready. And again, the two protagonists were Prince Andrew and Virginia. That's why Ghislaine was leaning away from them. Then why not take a few seconds to get her outside the frame? By the way, you can refine your observation skills with my 100 body language tips that you can download right in the description of this video. The fact that reading the photo tells us that it was a really quick take makes you wonder if this could have something to do with the fact that Epstein's house in New York was rigged with cameras from top to bottom. But in this particular situation, it was at Ghislaine's place, so maybe Epstein suggested to take a picture to have proof of the moment. And it's not that far-fetched to think that the kind of videos recorded and photos taken by any means would have helped him with coercion or extortion, or simply forcing everyone to shut up about what was going behind closed doors at those places. Even if Virginia supposedly wanted a picture for her mother or grandmother, we can't be sure if it could have been suggested by Epstein. And Prince Andrew's posture is really defensive. He's a bit hunched, he's covering his groin with his hand, and his smile is not genuine since there's not enough push of the cheeks to his eyes. And now that we've been talking about their hands, there's also the fact that their embrace was full because they were grabbing each other's waists. Ghislaine's hands mimic her attitude and posture, trying to cover her own groin, a classic defensive gesture, and trying to not be present in that proof that was being taken in a matter of seconds. Now, the Duke of York has claimed that he has no recollection of this, that this photo may or may not be doctored, and well, you already know what he said in that disastrous interview that you can check here. There are other details that you should be aware beyond proximity, attitudes, and body language. You should always make sure the image that you are looking at is not flipped, like a mirror. In this case, the only clue that we can use to confirm it's not flipped is Prince Andrew's shirt buttons. With a slight brightness and contrast adjustment, we can confirm that the shirt has the buttons on his right, which is custom for men's clothing. And speaking of which, what do you think about their clothing? I'd love to read your opinion in the comments. But what I wanted to show you with this analysis is how important, when you're looking at just a photograph, is to understand the full dynamics between the people that appear both in front and behind the camera and what brought them together up to that moment. Just remember that your intuition is the first tool you have, it's the first impression you're going to get from any image or video, and you should make good use of it every time. With practice, it will become second nature. If you want to support my channel and help me make more videos, all you have to do is like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss any of my body language analysis and tips. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas, and I'll see you soon, my body language buddies.